Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, which is entitled as Sannyasa Yoga. Introduction. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani, Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. In general, people are very much interested to have one scripture, one God, one religion, and one occupation, not interested in having many of these things. Therefore, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, let there be one scripture only, one common scripture for the whole world, that is Bhagavad Gita. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, let there be one God for the whole world, that is Sri Krishna. Eko Mantras Tasya Namani, let there be one mantra, the chanting of his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Karma bhi ekam tasya devasya seva. And let there be one work only, the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The essence of Bhagavad Gita, which has 18 chapters, is to impart the importance of Bhakti Yoga, which is the means to attain the Supreme Lord. These 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are classified into 3 groups: Pradama Shadga, Madhyama Shadga, and Charama Shadga. Pradama Shadga is from chapter 1 to 6. Madhyama Shadga is from chapter 7 to 12, whereas Charama Shadga is from chapter 13 through 18. Each of this section are further classified into 2 subsections. In Pradama Shadga, chapter 1 and 2 is one section, whereas 3, 4, 5, 6 is the second subsection. In Madhyama Shadga, chapter 7, 8, 9 is the first subsection, whereas 10, 11, 12 is the second subsection. Likewise, in Charama Shadga, it is 13, 14, 15 is one subsection, 16, 17, 18 is the second subsection. In Pradama Shadga, the topic that's been discussed there are Karma and Jnana Yoga. In chapter 1 and 2, Krishna explains about Atma and the nature of the Atma, whereas in chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, how to attain the Atma realization, self-realization, is being explained through the process of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. In the Madhyama Shadga, that is chapter 7 through 12, it's all about Bhakti Yoga, which is explained in detail. In that, 7, 8, 9 speaks about the nature of Bhakti, the means to attain the Supreme Lord, and in 10, 11, 12, for that Bhakti to take place and grow, what needs to be done is explained. Lastly, in Charma Sloka, which talks about whatever has been left out in the first 12 chapters is caught up over here, and whatever Krishna wanted to say earlier and has been missed out are covered over here. In the first subsection of the Charama Shadga, 13, 14 and 15, Tattva-traya, Achita, Chitta and Ishvara has been explained. That is Prakriti, Atma and Paramatma. These 3 exist already, doesn't require our effort to make it happen. Whereas chapter 16, 17, 18 speaks about Yaga, Yagya, Bhakti, etc. These are performed by us to achieve something, that is the Supreme Lord. These 3 chapters actually amplifies the means for attaining the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Abode, the spiritual world, by the performance of Karma, Jnana, Bhakti. The essential nature of Karma, Jnana and Bhakti are explained. Let's see the Sankati, the connection between the previous chapters to this 18th chapter that we are going to start. In the 16th chapter, one who is God-fearing and follows the scriptures will have 20 qualities. We learned about that. For example, fearlessness, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, self-control, study of Vedas, simplicity, non-violence, freedom from anger, and so forth. Whereas one who are God-hating doesn't follow the scriptures. They are with pride, arrogance, anger, etc. They are referred as demoniac by nature, whereas the earlier ones are referred as divine by nature. Those who follow the scripture, those who have faith in the scripture, attains me. Those who doesn't will fall down into a hellish condition of life. Then Arjuna asked a question in 17th chapter. What about those who does things with faith but doesn't follow the scriptures? What do they fall into? Do they fall into Satoguna or Rajoguna or Tamoguna? What result do they get? Krishna responded saying, the karmas like sacrifices, austerity, charity, etc. that has been mentioned in the Vedas are the means for liberation and also for material benefits. Any other actions that are not recommended in the Vedas cannot yield either material benefits or moksha. How do we know whether it is Vedic or Avedic? Well, the common characteristic of all Vedic acts is their connection with the pranava, Om. If the karma, the action, is towards liberation, then that action is associated with the term Om Tat. And if the act leads to a material benefit, and it is connected with Om Sat. Therefore, any karmas, any activities, yaga, yajna, tapasa, dana, which are not connected with the phrase Om Tat Sat are not Vedic karmas, will yield no result. One may ask, well, can I simply say Om Tat Sat but not follow what's there in the Vedas? That is also not right. One has to perform what is mentioned in the Vedas. As they perform in the Vedas, one has to connect that activity through the sound vibration Om Tat Sat. Otherwise, it is called not Vaidika, Avaidika. For example, for us to understand pranayama. Pranayama is a breathing exercise as per the Yoga Shastra. Pranayama can be done by anyone. But when the pranayama is done with the pranava mantra, it is called Vaidika pranayama. Whereas when the pranayama is done without the pranava mantra, it is called Avaidika pranayama. Those who are eligible, qualified to chant pranava mantra Om, they do pranayama with pranavam. Whereas those who are not recommended to chant Om, then they do pranayama without the connection with Om. Therefore, doing yoga, doing pranayama is not wrong. Anyone can do it, but only those who are eligible can do pranayama with the pranava mantras. Those who are not must simply do without the pranava mantras. That which is done without the pranava are called Avaidika pranayama, whereas with Om is called Vaidika pranayama. This is just to give an example. What is Vaidika and what is Avaidika? So connecting this back to our original point, actions like sacrifice, charity, etc., when it's performed with the pranava mantra, it is Vaidika. When it is performed without pranava mantra, it is Avaidika. the actions are all same, but it depends on what reward one wants. Accordingly, they connect the phrase with the respective action. If one is interested in material gains, rewards, they chant Om Sat. If one is interested in spiritual rewards, then they chant Om Tat. At this point, a question may arise: how is the sacrifice, austerity, charity, etc. performed gives different result, because the action is same but seem to be giving two different results. One leads to moksha, whereas the other one leads to material rewards. How is it possible for the same action to give two different results? And the answer is also given, as we saw. If one is interested in moksha, he does the sacrifice, austerity, charity, etc. with disinterest in benefits other than the moksha. Whereas when the same action performed with disinterest in moksha but interest towards material things will get one the material gains, LalGopaldas. So the actions are same, but what one fixes his mind leads one to attain different results. How does this happen? One undertakes these acts mentioned in Vedas with no interest in material results but only in moksha, spiritual gains, will be of sattva guna. Sattva guna is prominent in him. Whereas the others who are interested in material gains, rajoguna and tamoguna will be prominent. Now the next question comes: how to increase sattva guna in us so that we don't get attracted to the material rewards but only interested in the spiritual reward? Well, sattva guna is nurtured and increased through sattvika ahara, association of sadhus, and then chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This will increase the sattva guna within one and decreases, suppresses the rajoguna and tamoguna. As one sattva guna increases, their inclination towards material things will reduce and interest towards the spiritual things will increase, and they will start following the Vedic process with no interest towards material rewards. Then that will lead one to bhakti and eventually attain the Supreme Lord. After carefully hearing 16th chapter and 17th chapter, now Arjuna had a doubt in his mind. For liberation, the moksha sadhana, the means, is explained by performing yaga, yajna, dhana, dharma, etc. But when we analyze the scriptures, we get two different means to attain the Lord, attain moksha. One is termed as tyaga, whereas other one is sannyasa. These two terms seem to be mentioned in the scriptures as a means to attain liberation. So Arjuna's question is, are these two terms means the same? If they are one and the same, what is their nature, swarupa? If they are different, then what is their respective nature? After knowing its nature, what I need to practice? Are they different from what has been discussed earlier about doing yaga, yajna, dhana, dharma? If tyaga and sannyasa is the one that's the means for attaining liberation, then what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do? Am I the one to do it, or someone else is going to do it for me? Several questions arise in Arjuna's mind, which came out as the first question in the first sloka of the 18th chapter. Because the Shastra says one has to take sannyas to attain liberation. By performing tyaga, one attains moksha. But what you told me earlier is by performing yaga, yagya, dana, dharma, by uttering Om Tat, one gets connected to the Vedas, by which one attains moksha. So, what is the right one here? Do we have multiple options that one can pick either this or that, or they are all same? Is yaga, yagya, dana, dharma the moksha sadhana, the means to attain moksha, or tyaga, sannyasa are the means to attain moksha? If tyaga and sannyas are the means, then are they different or same? If they are same, then what is their nature? If they are different, what are their natures? Krishna is going to respond to clarify Arjuna's doubt, saying that yaga, yagya, dana, tapas are the means to attain moksha, but if it is done with disinterest in the results, it makes a difference. That key factor of performing activities with disinterest in the result is called tyaga and sannyasa. That is why scriptures constantly says these two terms. Giving up the result of our activities is known as tyaga or sannyasa. Because Arjuna thought tyaga and sannyasa are the means, if Krishna is going to say those are the means, then I have to give up my karma. I should not fight. I have to give up and become sannyas. So according to Arjuna, tyaga and sannyasa means giving up one's duty, one's responsibilities, one's swadharma, one's varnashrama dharma. Where Krishna is going to say, no, that is not the correct understanding of tyaga and sannyasa. Giving up of karma is not tyaga and sannyasa, but giving up of karma phalam, the fruits of one's action, is what termed as tyaga and sannyasa. If you do your karma with interest, it will give you the wealth of this world. If you do the karma with disinterest of results, it will give you the wealth of the spiritual world. That is, when one does an action with not having any interest towards the material rewards, then that is called tyaga or sannyasa. Therefore, it is not two different paths to attain moksha. Tyaga and sannyasa is one path, whereas performing karmas is another path. It is not like that. It is one path. The karmas, the actions are performed with the mode of tyaga and sannyasa towards any material benefits, will lead one into moksha, liberation. Whereas when the karma is performed with attachment to the results, that is not tyaga, that is not sannyasa. It will not lead one to the spiritual world. It further entangles one into this material world. Therefore, Krishna is not confusing here. It's pretty clear in what he is saying from the starting of Bhagavad Gita. So the first point from chapter 18 is both tyaga and sannyasa are not different from what has been explained. The means to attain moksha are one and the same. Through performing a karma, activities that's prescribed in the Vedas, with the mode of tyaga and sannyasa, meaning not being attached to the results of one's activity. Of course, attaining the Supreme Lord for the eternal service is not considered to be material reward. It's a spiritual reward, therefore that is accepted. After clearing this doubt, then Krishna speaks about the nature, swarupa of tyaga. After hearing the nature of tyaga and sannyasa, now Arjuna felt that he understood the subject matter very clearly. Then he said, Krishna, let me fight now. And Krishna stopped him and said, you really did not understand what I said. In truth, if you knew what I said, then you will not say, I will fight, because you are not the doer. I am the doer. One may say, how is that? I am the one who's lifting the bow and arrow. I am the one shooting the arrow. Well, where did you get all these things from? The Lord is the one who created this universe, made all the facilities, gave us the body and senses, gave us the intelligence to perform any activities. Like a farmer, he did all the work. So it is the farmer who needs to be glorified, not the grain itself. Therefore, when one performs an action, one should know that yes, it is my duty to perform the action, not to shy away or give up my activities, my dharma. But as I do this one, I should have the complete consciousness that He, Krishna, is the doer. I am an instrument in His hand, with the free will whether to accept or not accept this truth. If He has not given what I have now, how can I do what I wanted to do? Therefore, He is the doer. He is Nimitta Karana, Upadhana Karana and Sahakari Karana as well. That is, He is instrumental cause, He is material cause, and He is the supportive cause as well. As we perform the action, He is the one who is going to be pleased, and He is the one who gives the end result. Therefore, we should do our duty with a clear understanding that He is the doer. This is again explained in this chapter. So, number 1, the clarification on Tyaga and Sannyasa is made clear. Number 2, the nature of Tyaga has been explained. Number 3, the doer, who's the doer, has been explained. Number 4 is the effects of 3 gunas, which makes one to engage oneself into certain activities. Therefore, one needs to cultivate Sattva Guna. That is also explained in this chapter. Then, the 5th point is the manner in which duties that is appropriate to one's Varnashrama, when done for the satisfaction of Krishna, will lead one to the attainment, his attainment. Arjuna, your Varnashra dharma is to perform fight here. By doing that, you will attain moksha. Seriously? By fighting one attains moksha? I thought that by renouncing everything, going to the forest, being in complete dhyana is what going to give moksha. How is that my fighting is going to give me moksha? And Krishna said, yes, you can attain liberation if you follow your Varnashrama dharma based on proper consciousness. That is, I am not the doer, it is you, Krishna. I am not the enjoyer of the rewards of my action, it is you who are the enjoyer of any actions, Krishna. These action doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you, Krishna. Therefore, I do my duty with this consciousness. I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer of the results of my activities, and the karmas are themselves belongs to you, not to me. And Arjuna, you can only do this if you are in Sattva Guna. And lastly, when this done for the pleasure of Krishna, it is called Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga is the essence of the Gita Shastra, Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Arjuna, take me as the only refuge and surrender unto me only. These aspects are said to be the limbs, Anga, of Bhakti Yoga. As in the 2nd chapter, a synopsis of the whole subject matter was described. A summary of Bhagavad Gita was described. Likewise, in the 18th chapter, also the summary of all instruction is summarized. Chapter 18 is entitled as Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, or also as Moksha Yoga, or also named as Prapati Yoga. It has 78 slokas, biggest chapter in Bhagavad Gita. but not to get worried. Should be easy to understand because most of the subjects are already been discussed in the past 17 chapters. Sloka 1 through 18 gives a summary of Karma Yoga. Verse 19 through 40 gives the modes of nature, and 41 through 55 gives the explanation of what an ideal worker is, in what consciousness one has to perform their activities. Here Krishna explains the system of Varnashrama. The divisions are outlined: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Verse 56 through 66 is about love of God. Ultimately, all the activities that one practices and performs needs to lead one to achieve pure love of God. That is explained here in this chapter. And lastly, verse 67 to 78 speaks about the end result. Knowledge and understanding of Bhagavad Gita is totally dependent on one's consciousness. It's only one who approaches these sacred teachings with proper mood and proper lifestyle will be able to fully comprehend the deep and profound meanings which are in these scriptures, and that will lead one to finally come to a conclusion that it is only Krishna to whom I should surrender, and it is only Krishna who can remove all my obstacles and make me free of fear, and it is only Krishna who can reward me as two lotus feet as his ultimate destination. In our next session, we'll start with the first sloka, where Arjuna asks a question about Tyaga and Sannyasa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste. Hare Krishna.